Mr. President, do you think that the government shutdown is all about this rally that's happening this weekend, the No Kings rally?
No, I mean, some people say they want to delay it for a king. This is
more
not
than
a king. You know, they're referring to me as a king. I'm not a king.
Right. No, but just so that Chuck Schumer could go and say, I'm fighting Trump.
Yeah, well, Chuck is, at the end of the line. He's being beaten by everybody that they poll against him. And, what he did is he did the right thing a couple of years ago on something like this. And he got hurt by his party. And it doesn't, I don't think it matters to him. I think he's just so dead that he'll do anything. I think they could just stay out forever. I mean, to be honest with you. Now, what we're doing is we're cutting Democrat programs that we didn't want because, they made one mistake. They didn't realize that gives me the right to cut programs that Republicans never wanted, giveaways, welfare programs, et cetera. And we're doing that, and we're cutting them permanently. We're cutting a $20 billion project that Schumer fought for 15 years to get, and I'm cutting the project. The project is going to be dead. It's pretty much dead right now.
The Democrats thought they had Trump cornered. They thought shutting down the government to protect illegal alien health care benefits would somehow give them leverage. And they were dead wrong. Chuck Schumer thought this shutdown would secure his political career. Instead, it's turned him into the most unpopular Senate leader in modern history. And he's taking the entire Democrat Party down with him. Every day, this Schumer shutdown continues. Every day, military families go without pay. Every day, the economy loses billions. Democrats own all of it. We're going to see how the Democrats are already beginning to crack as they face an electoral bloodbath unlike anything we've seen in a generation. The polling is clear. The momentum is clear. Americans want their government open, and they want Democrats to stop holding them hostage for illegal alien benefits. This is the Schumer shutdown, and it's imploding right before our very eyes. Greetings, everyone. It is Live Stream Friday. I am your host, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the radical left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you are making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you are changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss a single video. As always, we've got our jam-packed show for you today. Our super chats are indeed up, so feel free to send in your comments or questions. It'd be my privilege to read them, answer them during this live stream. I also want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that is our amazing friends over at Block Trust IRA. Now, gang, if you have yet to get into the crypto game, this is it. This is the best opportunity you're ever going to get. Now, if you don't know, the crypto revolution that's happening right now as we speak is the biggest wealth transfer in history. And it's just getting underway. It represents, seriously, the single largest wealth transfer in history. Over 80,000 new millionaires were created last year because of crypto. But of course, the turnoff is its volatility, right? The extreme highs are great, the 30, 40, 50% returns. But what about the equally extreme lows? Well, guess what? Your experience of that volatility is now officially a thing of the past. Meet Block Trust IRA. They have a super AI system that Bitcoin Magazine has named the #1 technology platform in the entire world. That was among 1,500 global competitors. And what that super AI does is it works 24/7 to analyze global market data, and it predicts with uncanny accuracy the highs and the lows of crypto volatility. So Block Trust IRA sells at the highs, and then they buy again at the lows, which mitigates the volatility, all the while you stand to make incredible gains. That's why I'm a proud client of Block Trust IRA. I love them. I got my own account with them, and gang, I think you're going to love them too. So if you've never gotten into the crypto game yet, let Block Trust IRA ease you in. Click on that link below right now or visit turleytalkscrypto.com and find out how they can help you join the Trump financial revolution that's finally giving forgotten Americans access to the greatest crypto wealth opportunity in history. And the best part, for limited time, they're offering my viewers up to $2,500 in bonus crypto when you open up an account with them. It's amazing, gang. Do not wait on this. Visit turleytalkscrypto.com. That's turleytalkscrypto.com. Yeah, I love those guys. Block Trust IRA is absolutely amazing. All right, let's dive right in here. We have got some brand new polling that just dropped. And, I'm just going to cut to the chase. It's an absolute nightmare for the Democrats. Now, what's key with this polling is that it's limited to 6 battleground states that are must-wins for the Democrats to return to power. So we're talking Georgia, Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, New Hampshire, and Maine. If Democrats do not win these states, they will never see the White House again. Okay, it's that simple. They're permanently boxed out of power. And the results of this poll are, I'm not going to mince words, they're absolutely devastating. So this is research coming from the Public Opinion Strategies outlet. It was just published by Politico. And the poll was taken between the dates of October 8th to 12th. It surveyed 1,200 registered voters across these 6 pivotal states. Again, we're talking Georgia, Maine, Michigan, New Hampshire, North Carolina, and Ohio. And here's what the poll found. 60% of respondents believe that the Democrats need to reopen the government. 60% believe that the federal government should reopen immediately before the issue of healthcare spending that the Democrats so desperately want gets negotiated. So I'll rephrase that. 60% of respondents in these key swing states reject the Democrats' demand that $1.5 trillion be added to budgetary spending before the government reopens. 60% reject that. They want it opened now. Then you can negotiate, but don't hold the government hostage. Only 35% want the Democrats to hold out for the demands to be met. 35%. So, gang, once again, one of the things we try to uncover in this channel are trends. We try to uncover recurring patterns, political patterns. Once again, we're staring into the abyss of a kind of 80-20 doom loop for the Democrats. They have once again staked their political position in an issue that at most, and that's the key, at most can garner 35% support. When the Republicans come out there and say, we want the government opened, they're on the side of the supermajority once again. It doesn't matter what issue Republicans side on. Border security, mass deportations, bringing manufacturing back home, energy independence, ending DEI, banning trans athletes from female sports, peace in the Middle East, you name it. Trump and the GOP are consistently on the side of the supermajority, while the Democrats are literally trapped in their 80-20 doom loop, appeasing to the most extreme, radical neurotics on the planet. And to further underscore that point, the top concern among those polled over the shutdown is military service members missing their pay. That was reflected as, quote, very concerning by the vast majority of respondents. And guess what President Trump and the Republicans are doing? What are they doing? Again, they're on the right side of the 80-20. This week, Trump announced that they found $8 billion in Pentagon research funds to pay our troops in the midst of the shutdown. Here's President Trump himself.
You have the money to pay the troops on October 15th? Okay.
I actually have a man who is a very wealthy person, you'll know that when I tell you this, who called a donor, a great gentleman, and he said, if there's any money necessary, shortfall, for the paying of the troops, then I will pay it, meaning he will pay it. How about that?
And this is where it gets beautiful, because not only did Trump announce that every soldier will get paid, while Democrats are on record voting against that 8 straight times, voting against their pay 8 straight times. Not only that, But how did Democrats respond to that announcement? You know exactly. I can't talk about an 80-20 doom loop. How did the Democrats respond to Trump's announcement that they found the $8 billion they need to make sure that our servicemen and women get paid? They came out and said, you can't do that. That's illegal. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. This takes TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, to a whole new absurd level. Connecticut Democrat Jim Himes and other Democrats are literally openly, publicly arguing that Trump paying our troops during a government shutdown is illegal and unconstitutional. And so now they're threatening a lawsuit to actually stop the Republicans and President Trump from paying our troops. Again, you can't make this up. We've gotten them to side with illegal migrants. We've gotten them to side with violent criminals. We've gotten them to side with narco terrorists. Now they're siding with keeping servicemen and women in the unemployment line. I mean, it's insane. Oh, and it gets worse. It gets worse. Chuck Schumer officially has the lowest approval rating of any single member of Congress. It's official. 17%. Think about that. The Democrats have decided to have this shutdown led by the single most unpopular member of Congress. And boy, is that saying something. They decided to have this shutdown, which is already controversial, led by the single most unpopular member of Congress. What could go wrong? And the Democrats themselves as a whole ain't doing much better. The latest Quinnipiac poll has them clocking in at just 21% approval, 70% disapproval. And this was before the disastrous Schumer shutdown. Now, interestingly, circling back, Psaki, to this poll of battleground states, Democrats are more or less split down the middle. 60% want their Senate leadership to keep fighting their no king, keep fighting for that government shutdown till the Republicans agree to give them $1.5 trillion to spend, at least in part, on illegal migrant health care. Whereas 40% of Democrats want them to cry uncle and cut their losses. Now, again, if you've been with this channel for some time, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button wherever it is there. This is a key recurring pattern that we've identified, that we've been seeing for at least the last 4 years now. And what is it? So we got the 80-20 doom loop, but then this pattern actually shows us where that 80-20 doom loop comes from. We can actually identify how and why the Democrats are caught in that 80-20 doom loop. So who knows? What's this pattern when we see 60% of the Democrats supporting this government shutdown? They want to continue. 40% say, hey, man, cut your losses. This is a disaster. Let's get the government back going on. Who knows? What is that pattern? It's a recurring pattern. Put it in the chat. I don't know how you would how you would explain it. It's because it's like a sentence. But what are we seeing in the shutdown among Democrats? That's a recurring pattern that explains why the Democrats are caught in this 80-20 doom loop. What do all woke issues do? That's your final clue. What do all woke issues do? All woke issues split the left and unite the right. That's what you have to get. You might want to write that down in terms of some, dinner table conversations with friends, family, loved ones, whatever. All woke issues, by definition, split the left and they unite the right. Split the left and they unite the right. I got to get my hand I'm becoming a Gavin Newsom. I got to get my hand motions together with my mouth. That's interesting. Did you see that the other day? That's interesting. That's very interesting. He said interesting like 12 times in a row to a guest. He just looks he is so grease monkey. I mean, it's insane. Anyway, you take any woke issue, okay, if you're new here. Now, if you've been with us for a while, this is old hat, so you know this. But it's a very important political pattern that we see repeated over and over again that explains the 80-20 doom loop. You take any woke issue, right? Trans athletes in women's sports and DEI and kind of woke nonsense you see like from Cracker Barrel, CRT in the classroom, you name it, whatever it is. You just take any woke issue. What if you poll that issue among Democrats, you'll find about 50% of the Democrats support it, but the other 50% reject it. The Bill Maher 50% want nothing to do with it, right? That was like 4 years ago. That was the Elon Musk left side of the left, or the Piers Morgan left, or even Jordan Peterson said he was center left. But they were absolutely radically anti-woke, right? They were anti-open borders. They were illegal migrant, all that sort of stuff, anti-suppression of free speech. Take any woke issue, it splits the left 50-50. But at the same time, that same woke issue always unites the right. The right is 100% against it. So any woke issue by definition is a loser at the ballot box, because by definition, more people will come out to vote against it than will vote to support it. At best, if you do 100%, say, spectrum here, at best, a woke issue can only garner 25%. So if 50% are Democrat, 50% are Republican, just making it simple. But by the way, most independents go Republican on woke issues. They're dead set against it. 50% Democrat, 50% Republican, make it nice and easy. And if a woke issue splits the left down the middle, then by definition, the most support it can ever get is 25%. Now, do you see why the Democrats are stuck in a 80-20 doom loop? Now do you see why every issue the Democrats double down on, which is basically woke, they can't shake the woke monster. Every issue they double down on, at best, can only get 20-30% support. That's it. Because by definition, it splits the left and unites the right. Unites the right in its opposition to it. So it's not a coincidence that we're starting to see the Democrats crack here. The Democrat, the Democrat unity and all, it's beginning to fracture. The cracks in Schumer's leadership are becoming impossible to ignore, and more pundits are finally fessing up to it. Remember, the legacy media is doing everything they possibly can to carry the water, futilely, but carry the water for the Democrats in this, trying to lay at least as much blame on the Republicans for the shutdown, even though they're put forward the same CR they've been putting forward the last few years. Chuck Schumer has voted for it every single time, the exact same clean CR, going all the way back to Biden's budget. The exact same clean CR. It is a Democrat CR, ironically. And that Schumer has voted for, that at least 10 Democrats have voted for, time and time again, dozens of times. And now they're deciding not to. And of course, it's so that, the problems are trying to satisfy the progressive wing of their party and give away $1.5 trillion to all their little pork projects, including paying for the health care of illegal migrants. And one of the ways they get around saying, we did not a dime goes to illegal migrants, they just redefine what an illegal migrant is. And so they don't know what the difference between a man and woman is. So how would they have any idea between legal and illegal migrant? So it's that, but Chuck Schumer has to do that precisely because of what you just heard at the beginning. He has to do that because he's facing the wrath of the progressive wing of his party, led by AOC, and they will primary him out of office. And he's been there since 1980. He's scared to death. He's got nothing else. Guy certainly doesn't know how to cook a cheeseburger, that's for sure. So this rebellion actually began in earnest after Schumer's March capitulation when he did vote alongside 9 other Democrats to keep the government open, with the very same clean CR that's on his desk right now. That decision triggered what Politico described as a handful of House Democrats publicly calling for Schumer to step aside, with some even considering backing a primary challenger against him. So the progressive fury was immediate and it was intense. You guys will remember this back in March. So by later spring, the revolt against Schumer had reached a fever pitch. That includes the Sunrise Movement, College Democrats of America, We Dream Action, and Voters of Tomorrow. Just stupid names. So ridiculous. Voters of Tomorrow, We Dream Action. Oh my God. How about Nightmare Action? Well, those 4 progressive groups, national groups, issued a blistering letter demanding that Schumer either stand up or resign from leadership entirely. Then came a number of congressional defections. So Representative Glenn Ivey, he became the first House Democrat to openly call for Schumer's resignation as minority leader. He was followed by Representative Delia Ramirez. And then if asked if Schumer should step down, more and more Democrat representatives came out and said, absolutely. I mean, the progressive group Indivisible joined the chorus in this. They demanded Schumer vacate his leadership position entirely. And that's when you began to see this really snowball out of control. So every time the legacy media tries to carry water for the Democrats, it's to cover up this internal insurrection among the progressive wing, which reached its climax with Bernie Sanders and AOC. This Sanders AOC socialist alliance that we've seen form over the last several months, that is what poses the greatest existential threat to Schumer's grip on power. It poses the greatest threat of Schumer even staying in Congress. He's going to become another Tom Daschle. He's going to be voted out of office, in this case, by one of his own. These 2 progressive titans have been crisscrossing the country. You know that. The no oligarchy rallies, right? And they've been building an alternative power structure within the Democrat Party as part of this internal civil war. And obviously the pressure campaign from the far left, the 80-20, doom loop left, it's working. So by September, even moderate Democrats were warning about this growing progressive insurgency, which for Schumer meant, in the end, a 2028 primary challenge from AOC. I mean, that's baked into the cake. It's going to happen. New Yorkers want it, so she's going to give it to them. And that's ironically put probably the dumbest member of Congress next to Jasmine Crockett in charge. This political power that AOC now has by virtue of this progressive uprising is giving her enormous leverage even over Senate party leadership. And despite all of their pathetic and patently ridiculous denials to the contrary, the progressive wing of the Democrat Party has effectively declared war on Schumer's leadership, and they are winning. They built parallel power structures, they recruited primary challengers, and they have forced Schumer into this shutdown. They are repeatedly forcing him into positions he would never otherwise take. So what does that mean? Well, it obviously means that the shutdown standoff ain't about healthcare subsidies, ultimately. That's just the payback for the progressive wing to keep Chuck in power. It's about whether Chuck Schumer can survive the progressive insurgency that's consuming his own party. I don't think he can, ultimately, not with the way this thing is going to end. And now more and more Democrats, more and more establishment Democrats, Schumer-aligned Democrats, are recognizing that the progressives are driving their party off a cliff. It's not just Fetterman. 3 Senate Democrats have already broken ranks, voting consistently with the Republicans to end the shutdown. By the way, they're never invited on CNN. They're never invited on MSNBC, right? Because that doesn't help them to carry war. The only people who are openly breaking ranks with their party over the shutdown are Democrats. That's all you need to know. They're the ones cracking, not Republicans. Are like, what is there to debate? What is there to negotiate? We've got nothing to negotiate. It's a clean CR. You want to add $1.5 trillion spending that we cut as a result of the One Big Beautiful Bill. You want to relitigate that bill or re-legislate that bill, I guess I should say. It's not going to happen. So you got Fetterman of Pennsylvania, and I did a video yesterday. He will be defecting from the Democrats entirely at some point. We'll see if he switches to independent or Republican. He has 60% approval rating among Pennsylvania Republicans, 30% approval among Pennsylvania Democrats. I would not be surprised to see him jump ship and become a Republican. Otherwise, but he will not be able to win re-election as things any more than Chuck Schumer will be in 2028. So we got Fetterman. He's been breaking ranks with his party. Breaking ranks. Angus King, he's an independent from Maine. He caucuses with the Democrats, but he's been calling them out left and right. You've got three Democrat defectors in the Senate. You've got Representative Jared Golden. Again, I don't even know why they highlight AOC. It's just to try to give her cred among their dwindling Democrat viewers on CNN and MSNBC. But they keep, Hakeem Jeffries, AOC. The CR has already passed the House. There's nothing more for them to do. As a matter of fact, they couldn't do anything more. It's passed the House, and they're waiting for the Senate to do something with it. So it's just absurd to even bring up AOC or Dollar Store Obama. But you got Jared Golden. He's publicly accusing his own party of giving into the progressive far left. He's blaming this entire shutdown on the radical progressive wing of the party. He sees what's really happening. And then you've got vulnerable senators in swing states who look like they're starting to, themselves crack. So you got Ossoff of Georgia. He's going to be in for a very, very tough 2026 re-election. Senate for a Senate seat. It's very low in the approval. Got Maggie Hassan. You got Jeanne Shaheen, both of New Hampshire. Jeanne Shaheen looks like she's about to break. She's a centrist, just a House of Lords Democrat senator. Looks like she's probably going to break in the name of funding the military. Gary Peters in Michigan, he's another one. They're all getting super pressured by the GOP as they're seen as weak and particularly vulnerable. So definite targets for flipping those seats in the upcoming 2026 election or 2028. So in the end, what we're seeing transpire among the Democrats isn't so much a policy disagreement. It's a full-scale revolt that threatens to tear the Democrats apart. Between his 17% approval rating in national polls and his catastrophic 21% favorability in battleground states, Schumer has become the face of Democrat failure. And there's literally no way around that. Sanders and AOC have successfully positioned themselves as the real leaders of the Democrat resistance, while Schumer clings to a title that carries less authority every single day. All the while, the more establishment Democrats see their party being driven off a cliff by that progressive AOC Sanders takeover. And every single day, the Schumer shutdown continues. The Democrats get less and less popular. And to make matters even worse, you ready for this? As if you couldn't pour more oil onto the fire, they're getting indicted. They are literally getting indicted as we speak. Comey, Letitia James, Bolton, and they are just the tip of the iceberg, and that is just the beginning of the implosion of the Democrat Party. Wait until you see what Kash Patel just signaled is going to absolutely blow you away, and wait till you see how it fits in with the end of the Democrats as a political force once and for all. But first, gang, if you are just joining us, our super chats are up, so feel free to send in your comments, your questions. I'll be happy to answer them on our live stream here. And this is a good time to remember, too, that every one of us, we have to make sure we take steps to protect ourselves and our loved ones online. And that actually begins with your home title. Now, if you're a homeowner like me, you have to ask yourself, when was the last time you checked on your home title? It's online. You could see it just like everybody else. And it's the only legal proof that you own your house. But if you're like me, the answer is I've never checked it before. I didn't even know it existed online. But the problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. It works really simple, unfortunately. Criminals forge your signature on one document. They use a fake notary stamp. Then they pay a small fee and boom, that's it. Your home title has been transferred out of your name. And then they take out all kinds of loans or equity, or some even sell your property, and you won't even know it until it's too late, until you start getting collection notices, foreclosure notices. That's why you need to stop what you're doing right now and find out today if you've already been a victim. Use promo code TurleyTalks at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You also get a free title history report, plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes. And if fraud should happen, they'll actually spend up to $1 million to fix it. It's great stuff. Go to HometitleLock.com right now. Use promo code TurleyTalks, all one word. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code TurleyTalks. All right. So while Schumer and the Senate Democrats are literally melting down as we speak through the sort of the internal combustion of the fallout from the disastrous shutdown, FBI Director Kash Patel just dropped a bombshell that's about to make Washington's chaos look like a warm-up act. During an appearance on John Solomon's Just the News podcast, Patel revealed that more major indictments are indeed coming, and the names are going to shock the establishment to the core.
Question. All the things that you've seen, all the weaponization you've uncovered since you came in and found these secret files or restricted files, all those things, beyond those who are already charged, do you think you've seen other crimes that might eventually get referred to justice?
Yes, we are looking at so many different leads on criminal activity by those who are in positions of power. And we're not going to stop until every single one of those is fully exposed. The documents are provided either to Congress or the courts of law, and make every referral we can into the Department of Justice. These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in this near future are just the beginning. But I have to remind the audience one thing. Everybody's like, it's 7 months. What have you guys been doing?
Yeah.
Well, they spent 20 years building this disease temple of corruption. It takes a little bit of time to defeat it and beat it down. And I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to look at the work the men and women of the FBI have done so far in these 7-8 months, and just imagine what we're going to do come the year end.
The FBI looks a lot more like the one I covered 20, 30 years ago than the one I had to endure and cover the last 10 years. And that's a great credit to you, Director. There's no doubt about it. The president said it today. We know it's true.
Yeah, I mean, and it is true. All right. I know Pam Bondi and Kash have gotten a lot of flack over the last few months. And we've been doing, on this channel, I've been hearing it from you guys, when are we going to see the indictments? When are we going to see the arrest? Here they come, gang. Here they come. It was just a matter of time. Again, that's the hard part of putting together legal cases that are going to stick, especially among DC courts that are notoriously corrupt in favor of Democrats. Again, it's a swamp all the way through. But you heard what Kash just said there. They are uncovering loads of crimes committed by this is the key term he used, those in positions of power. So we're not talking minor players here. Those in positions of power. These indictments that you've seen and the ones that you're going to see coming up here in the near future are just the beginning. That is a stunningly ominous warning for Democrats on Capitol Hill and the entire DC bureaucratic deep state swamp. Now, of course, I'm sure you all know by now that the swamp rat par excellence, John Bolton, has just been finally and rightfully indicted. In fact, he just turned himself in this morning. He's but the latest high-profile career bureaucrat to face federal charges, marking the third such indictment in less than a month, right? Because before Bolton, we saw Comey, and we saw Letitia James. Bolton now faces, get this, 8 counts of transmission of national defense information and 10 counts of retention of national defense information. According to the Justice Department, Bolton kept and shared with family members more than 1,000 pages of diary-like entries containing information classified as top secret from his time as Trump's national security advisor. Now, we've been reporting for some weeks now on this channel that FBI agents discovered the documents labeled confidential in Bolton's Washington, D.C. office and home, that reference weapons of mass destruction. They confiscated his computers, all kinds of electronic devices. It looks like he is going down. That is the growing consensus, even among the otherwise staunch defenders of the deep state and the legacy media. Check this out.
A case where it's been in the works for years. It's been worked on because Bolton at one point was discovered having an AOL email account, according to the sources I've talked to, where he was writing notes to himself about his time in the Trump White House, and that could include classified documents. We also know from a recent search just 2 months ago that there were many documents, including ones labeled as about weapons of mass destruction, about Allied strikes, things that had markings on them that said classified, secret. There were phones, computers, drives, all of that seized from his house. His lawyer has said this could all be very old material from the George W. Bush administration, and nothing inappropriate was being kept by Bolton. But there is still an important possibility here that this is a very serious national security case, and that the Justice Department does continue wanting to enforce cases like these. It might not be all of a political decision.
So, Caitlin, and that's really important. It's something that you emphasized yesterday when you brought us.
Yeah, AOL, an AOL email. You knew something nefarious was going behind the scenes if he's using an AOL email. I mean, what a joke. And good luck, by the way, on that defense. These are classified documents from years and years and years ago, like the George W. Bush presidency. That my namesake, Jonathan Turley, he said he commented on that defense. That I guess they're trial ballooning that defense. He commented last night on Fox. It doesn't matter how old classified material is. If you're not supposed to be in possession of it, if it hasn't been declassified and you wrongly possess it, it's a felony. Whether it's under Trump or whether it's under Bush Jr. So it really looks like Bolton's up a creek here, big time. And of course, he's not alone. The Bolton indictment follows criminal charges against former FBI Director James Comey for lying before Congress, and New York Attorney General Tush James, who ironically, she brought an absolutely sham case against Trump that no one in the history of humanity has ever been tried for before, but it was an attempt at trying to get him on mortgage fraud. Well, ironically, she's being charged with a mortgage fraud case akin to the concocted charges she fabricated against Trump, but her charges are actually real. So the irony is rather palpable in all this. Same with Bolton. Bolton was cheerleading Trump for getting indicted for having classified information, even though he had ultimate authority on what can or cannot be classified. So presidents can't be charged under that. Again, it was concocted. And now what is he being indicted for? It's amazing stuff. It's like the Haman ironic, poetic justice through and through. But the deep state actors who weaponized the justice system against Trump are now facing accountability for that very weaponization. And as you just heard, Kash Patel made it crystal clear this is just the beginning. Kash confirmed that investigators are indeed looking at, in his words, so many different leads on criminal activity by those who are in positions of power. And he vowed that they are not going to stop until every single one of those abuses of power are fully exposed. And President Trump is clearly actively involved in this. God bless him. during a recent Oval Office appearance alongside Attorney General Pam Bondi and other officials. President Trump just doesn't hold back. He actually looks at them in front of the cameras, in front of the press. It makes the legacy media go nuts. He actually lists out for them names he'd like to see prosecuted. So, he's mentioned the former special counsel, Jack Smith. He's mentioned the former FBI lawyer, Andrew Weissman. He's mentioned the former Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco. So Trump openly, publicly, clearly wants those who were behind the weaponized indictments against him held criminally accountable. Now, I think it goes without saying that the significance of these indictments simply cannot be overstated. All you have to do is put on MSNBC, put on CNN, put on George Slopadopoulos at ABC. They are panicking. This is worse than anything they ever imagined for them. They're recognized. These aren't random bureaucrats. These aren't low-level players getting indicted here. These are the power brokers. These are the architects of the Russia hoax, the architects of the classified documents prosecution, the architects of the J6 witch hunt. Weissman served on Robert Mueller's team during the Russia investigation. Monaco was deputy attorney general under Biden. And of course, Jack Smith led 2 separate criminal prosecutions against Trump, where he literally made up the charges and compromised the evidence. Now they're all in Kash Patel's crosshairs, every one of them. By the way, word on the street is Adam Schiff is next. Shifty Schiff is very possibly the next one to get indicted here. Comer, Clapper, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. These, and the key is that these are not minor players or scapegoats. These are key power brokers behind the weaponization of the federal government against President Trump and we, the MAGA movement. And of course, the irony, it's almost too perfect. I mean, the very same people who cheered when Trump faced Espionage Act charges for keeping classified documents at Mar-a-Lago that he himself is chief executive, had ultimate authority over. So they were charging him with a crime he could not conceivably or legally or constitutionally commit. Those very same people are now flipping out over Bolton. They're now flipping out over James Comey. They're flipping out over a guy who's being indicted for keeping top secret classified information in his personal diary when he does not have even remotely the authority to do so. Unlike President Trump. I mean, the double standard here has been completely exposed and everyone sees it. And again, we could keep going here. You may not even be aware of this. Let's put a little cherry on this sundae here. Kash Patel has just confirmed that for the first time ever, Antifa members have indeed been charged with material support to terrorism. It's happening. The hammer is being dropped. A grand jury just indicted 2 members of an Antifa-affiliated cell that launched an attack on an ICE detention facility in Prairieland, Texas. This was back in July, on July 4th, where a police officer was shot in the neck, and they are now being charged as terrorists. For the first time, under the president's authority to officially designate Antifa as a domestic terror organization, the DOJ has charged these 2 individuals with material support to terrorism, meaning they are in some big doo-doo. I mean, the message is unmistakable. It is not merely the end of the era of 2-tier justice. That is beautiful. Thank God for it. But what we are watching here, I mean, we're literally getting 2 for 1 in the eliminating of the era of the 2-tier justice system. We are now seeing the entire Democrat power apparatus being dismantled right before our very eyes. And so let's put all of this together now, okay? And then I want to go to your questions. We have to remember that what's so key to dismantling a political movement or apparatus is the combination of two things: external pressure and internal implosion. You got to have both. If you only have external pressure, but everyone inside, as the movement doubles down and says, no, we're not going to give in, we're going to give in, you can only go so far. If you only have the internal implosion, but you still have the external apparatus, it could keep going and going and going. Very similar to like what we saw with Act Blue, which almost went totally defunct after Trump cut off USAID because it was just a big slush fund hiding behind humanitarian causes. But because they still had the external structure in place, they're now able to accept billions again. So you've got to have both external pressure and internal implosion. And there are a number of studies that document how social movements historically collapse by virtue of facing simultaneously external repression and internal fragmentation. You got to have both. And I think that's exactly what we're looking for in terms of the death of a movement. We're looking for external repression combined with internal fragmentation. Academic research shows consistently that movements facing simultaneous external pressure and internal fragmentation, internal contradictions like wokeness or infighting and civil warring, like what we're seeing between establishment Democrats and progressives, movements that experience both the external pressure, like what we're seeing with from the Justice Department and the FBI, and internal fragmentation from their own civil war. That's what scholars have called organizational death spirals. Those organizations that are experiencing that external, internal sort of collapse, they inevitably end up falling apart and imploding, ultimately from within. That's exactly what I think we're seeing happening to the Democrats today. The indictments are the external pressure, and the Schumer shutdown is exacerbating their own internal incoherence and fragmentation. And based on what Kash Patel is promising, we ain't seen nothing yet. Over to you guys. Over to you. I want to hear what you have to say. You're the ones who are changing the world here. As Micah assembles your questions, remember our super chats are up. So if you want to send me your comments or questions, I'll be honored to read and answer them right here, right now on our live stream. But of course, you all remember Biden's debate disaster when he blurted out, we finally beat Medicare. Well, it's true. As Trump said, you beat it to death. Medicare touches the lives of millions of Americans, but like just about everything the government touches, it's a mess. And mistakes can cost you thousands. Between confusing rules and penalties and thousands of different plans, it's no wonder so many people are spending more than they need to every year because they're stuck on the wrong plan. That's why I want to introduce you to a genuinely helpful company, Chapter. Chapter gives you personalized Medicare advice, and they actually work for you, not for the government, not for big insurance, you. They search every plan available, even those that other agents skip. And by doing this, they save people an average of $1,100 per year and sometimes more. In fact, Chapter was able to save one couple, Joe and his wife, $3,000 every year. Chapter's advice is completely free to my audience, no fees, no pressure, just honest help. So if you're already on Medicare or about to be, I cannot recommend Chapter enough. Give them a call at 919-727-1903. That's 919-727-1903 to make sure your Medicare works for you. Most people wish they had called them sooner. Again, that's 919-727-1903. All right, Michael, what do we got? What do we got? I want to see what you guys have. Turlinator, Texas. Love it. Question, Dr. Turley, what is your take on the self-avowed socialist Keir Starmer's behavior in the recent days? He attacked King Charles because of his invitation, Nigel Farage, to Buckingham Palace. According to 2CTV, great channel, by the way, he's behaving as anti-Israeli by banning Jews from attending a friendly match at Aston Villa versus Israel. He proposed a two-state solution, that's right, by recognizing Palestine at the UN. To me, England has signed its own death notice. Yeah, it's a good question. It's a good question. My prima facie assessment would be that two-tier Keir is falling victim to very similar pressures that Schumer is falling victim to. Labor has gone far left, radical left, after the disastrous election for the Conservatives, for the Tories. They thought they had a mandate, when in point of fact, it was more an election to punish the Tories, rightly so, after being 14 years in power, versus actually giving Labor a mandate or being pro-Labor. So now, this is why when you look at all the polls, Reform UK now is up, by double digits. It's insane. They're going to see probably the biggest parliamentary majority any party has seen in decades in the next election. And I know they're going to pressure them to get that election done before the usual 4 or 5 year term. So I just think the Labor, having been emboldened by the election, has gone radical left, and Keir Starmer is trying to stave off challenges from the radical left, because politics is about Game of Thrones. It's always Caesarean backstabbing, and if you ain't careful, they're going to take you out. So I just have a feeling he's going far left, so as to appease, not even appease the base, but to appease the hardcore left of Labor, who might challenge him for power positions and try to overtake him. That's my initial, having not really done a deep dive in it myself. Dr. Steve, so Rhett Hogan, Dr. Z, and thank you for the super chat. I'd like to start investing in stocks, but I've never learned how. I tend to overthink when I don't fully understand. Could you guide me on where to begin learning? Thank you, and God bless. I cannot give you financial advice, right? No, I can't give, right? No, I mean, I partly, well, no, I'm not joking. Right, if you're asking me advice, financial advice, I cannot legally give that to you. What I can say, just from a purely educational perspective, is if you want to start investing, a good play. I mean, seriously, I would look up. I mean, YouTube is an amazing place for beginners information. So I would do a YouTube search on a beginner's guide to investing in stocks, just something like that. If you have access to Grok on X or Twitter or Chat GPT, make sure you go to the deep dive, what do you call it, mode, I guess, and ask it, say, I'm exactly what you just wrote to me. I'm an absolute beginner. I've never invested in stocks before, but I want to, which you should. Again, not advice, but you should be preparing. You should be doing something with your money. Otherwise, inflation just eats away at your dollars, quite literally. You literally lose spending power every year. So just ask ChatGPT, give me a plan, a blueprint for how I can begin investing in stocks, and who are some of the best mentors out there for me to follow, and either become a member of a group they might have, or at least just avail yourself of some information. You could also ask for like the top 3 books on investing for beginners. Always make sure to put for beginners. So there you go. It really, the coolest thing in the world, Rhett, is you don't have to so much research anymore. We're not so much in an information age. We're in an intelligence age. You have a super intelligence right at your fingertips right now with AI. So put AI in that deep search mode, and then just ask it any question you want. If it gives you an answer you don't understand, you can literally respond. I do this all the time. Can you explain this to me as if I were a kindergartner? Can you explain this to me as if I were a child and make it really simple? You've got a super intelligent agent at your fingertips, and they will guide, that super intelligent agent will guide you to making some really awesome decisions. So God bless it. Good for you. Yes, good for you. Everybody should be investing, kind of thing. Educational, not advice. Educational. Right? I think that's the clear distinction I have to make. So good stuff, Rhett. Awesome. And let me know. Keep me posted on how you do. Raven Writing Desk. Good to hear from you, my friend. In your segment about adding possible seats with the Supreme Court, how does that work? Is an election with only one name Democrats have to leave? Or is it someone asks, hey, Timmy, want to be a congressman? Possible seats with the Supreme Court. I'm not understand. Are you talking about Supreme Court stacking? So like Democrats want to add another 4 justices and make it 13. And of course they want them all liberals. That as I understand it, that would have to pass a supermajority in the Senate. That would have to get past cloture, the filibuster. So now, hey Timmy, I don't know where the congressman and the Supreme Court with only one name. I'm not sure. Raven, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question. It may be just me and my let's see. Strikes down. Oh, Micah, can you be a little more before I announce that? Are you talking about the racial gerrymandering? I think we just got some breaking news here. Let me just double check. Sorry, Raven. I'm not understanding. Segment about adding possible seats. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought this was an announcement, Micah. I thought, oh yeah, I can make it. I was going to say they just heard the argument on Wednesday. It'd be way too quick. Okay, so if you're asking about the 19 seats that Politico thinks will flip GOP as a result of the Supreme Court overturning the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, particularly Section 2, that's been exploited since the 1980s to draw up racially segregated districts, particularly for minorities, which is by definition racial discrimination. They are using racial categories for the drawing up of districts. So can we do it the opposite? Can I only have a white district? Right? Right. Of course not. It doesn't work both ways. But then you don't have equal protection under the law, so it violates 14th Amendment. But oh no, what they would do is they would do candidate recruitment most likely at the RNC. But there's organizations that do it as well. Our good friend who works with Cliff Maloney works with Pennsylvania Chase, or he founded Pennsylvania Chase, and now he's doing New Jersey Chase. I just interviewed him about the Jack Ciattarelli race in Jersey. He does candidate recruitment. He finds candidates who are solid MAGA, solid constitutionalists, and then helps give them put them in positions where they win. What you're dealing with, more or less, hey Timmy, do you want to be a congressman? It could be, if Timmy's a good MAGA guy and he doesn't have skeletons in his closet, right? If he's been properly vetted. The Virginia AG race is finding out the hard way of what happens when you don't properly vet. Basically these are going to be districts where just as long as you have an R next to your name, they're going to vote for you. They're not going to vote for the Democrat, that's for sure. So it really, as long as you're MAGA and as long as you've been properly vetted, so we find, that you didn't send out tweets 3 years ago threatening your political opponent, shooting him 2 bullets in the head and killing his children, then you're good to go. So that's, yes, they will end up recruiting a number of candidates from again, these could be Republican activists. Mike Whatley, who was the RNC chairman, he's running for Senate in the RNC. So just somebody, I mean, the Republican Party is made up of in terms of the apparatus, is made up of tens of thousands of possible bench. So there you go. Rebel Squirrel, a suggestion: we should shift our political language. Don't call the radical left progressives or even liberals, because they're neither. I agree. Let's consistently call them what they are: radicals and socialists. Yeah, no, I like it, Rebel Squirrel. Yeah, they're radicals or socialists. I mean, keep in mind, too, words change their meanings over their years of usage. So cute used to mean bow-legged, for example. So words are plastic. They can change meaning over years. So a progressive can now be, a tyrant. Antifa is a perfect example, is about as fascist as you can possibly get, even though it's called anti-fascist. So, but yeah, no, that's what they are: radicals and socialists, commies. I mean, I love the way Trump just says, Mamdani's a commie. He's a full-blown commie, and he is. Already Hochul, especially after last night, after he refused to endorse her, Governor Hochul, she's already saying he ain't getting any money from the state for his pet project. So he's going to have to rely solely on taxpayers inside New York City, and they are not going to like it, especially the mostly white neighborhoods. He said that they were going to have to inordinately tax to fund these projects. So now he's taxing people based on their race. It's amazing. Troublemaker Jason, good Friday afternoon, Dr. Steve. When, if ever, will we get a 5 a.m. arrest in Perp Walk? Are you referring to Roger Stone there and these deep state scumbuckets? I know. I hear you. I know. I don't know the answer to that. It would be wonderfully delicious to see in terms of poetic justice. But in the end, they seem clearly set on, they're serious. They seem clearly set on putting together the best possible case. Remember, right now as we speak, there is a Florida grand jury hearing evidence from Operation Crossfire Hurricane that goes all the way to the top. It goes all the way from Hillary to Obama. And we're talking Clapper, we're talking Comer, you name it. And they're the reason why they're hearing this evidence in the grand jury in Florida is because treason and conspiracy is cross-jurisdictional. It can be tried constitutionally anywhere in the country. And so Pam Bondi is going to her own backyard. She was the AG of Florida under Ron DeSantis. She's going to her own backyard. She knows which juries are going to convict these guys. And so they're serious. So I think they're focusing on conviction. They're not focusing so much on the theater per se. They want pure conviction. And then they're just going to allow the hysterics on CNN and MSNBC to be our entertainment. So, but whether we're going to see the 5 a.m. Perp Walk remains to be seen. Just don't know the answer to that. Let's see. America the Free. Do you think that the Department of Homeland Security is finally transitioning from simply deporting the worst criminals to conducting the largest mass deportations in history, as Trump responded? Yes. So Tom Homan was confronted on that by Chris Cuomo, who's still Chris has come a long way since CNN threw him under the bus. He's come a long way, but he's still very wobbly-kneed when it comes to mass deportations. Yes, with the violent criminals, gang members, and so forth. But what about that poor little lady in church? You mean the Democrat, Chris? Right? Let's just be blunt. You mean the Democrat? I had this debate with what's that liberal's name? Ellis. He was always on from the New York Times. Oh gosh, what's his name? Ellis something. He was always on O'Reilly, and I debate him on Newsmax, and he was complaining that we were deporting all these good law-abiding citizens. He even tried to argue Abrego Garcia was a good law-abiding citizen who just happens to hang out with MS-13 gang members and gets himself arrested and was stopped transporting human trafficking and all this sort of stuff. So, but I mean, I just pointed out, look, in the end, you want these people here because you hope they're going to remain Democrats. You want to make them and have them remain Democrats. This has nothing to do with whether they're upstanding members of the community, blah, 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 because all I have to do is say, yeah, except for the fact that they break our laws, except for the fact that they are here illegally. What part of that? How is it illegal to enforce the law on them? Right? I mean, if you're going to turn around and try to say we shouldn't be enforcing the law, we should be breaking it. Good luck on that. So all I could say is they're starting to panic a bit. And Chris Cuomo openly panicked on stage in front of Tom Homan, saying, what are the stats? What are the stats? You said it was going to be, violent criminals, and you weren't going to be harassing everybody else. And Homan looked at him and said, and then he said, I'm worried that you're actually taking everybody else and not just the violent criminals. And Homan said, no, we've always said we're prioritizing the violent criminals. But anyone who is here illegally is subject to deportation. Again, this isn't hard. This is not difficult. Otherwise, you enter into this bizarre contradiction of trying to claim it's illegal to enforce the law. So they are not supposed to be here. You should have thought of that before you came here illegally. If you want to be in the country, obey the effing law. Come here legally. It's that simple. So Tom looked at him and said it's about 70-30 right now. It's about 70% violent criminal, 30%, people who trying to kind of live under the radar who ended up getting caught. And a lot of times it's because they have some kind of association with a violent criminal. So they arrest a violent criminal, look into his family ties, find out that they're all basically living in some row house down the street, and then they go in and grab them as well. It's about 70% violent, 30% legal. We are now several assessments corroborate we're now over 2 million deported. So you have several 100,000 who've been forcibly deported, and then you have something like 1.5 million or so that have self-deported. You want, again, it's that external internal. You want both. It's a both and. So a lot of people are taking up the Homeland Security offer that if they turn themselves in via the app, they will be given a one-way plane ticket to wherever, and then they can reapply to come in. But if you're caught, you're out. You're never coming back again. And so it's massive. It's extraordinary. And again, you could see it just in the palpable panic in the Democrat Party, because they're seeing their whole blueprint for future electoral politics being erased right in front of their eyes. Turley, Texas, Dr. Turley, is there something afoot regarding Mike Pence? Yeah, I saw YouTube associating with Walrus John Bolton. It alluded to Pence being next. Yeah, we'll have to see on that. I have not done a deep dive on that, but I have seen some reports that Mike Pence and Bolton were two peas of the same pod. And but we'll have to see if Mike Pence was involved with some of the sharing of that illegally obtained classified information, and to what extent that sharing implicates him in that. We'll have to see. I don't know. Brian, my dear friend, now a leftist judge rules that judge can't fire workers during the shutdown. Can anyone do anything to stop the madness? Or do we just have to let all of it go until SCOTUS and hope we have enough time to get things right. Yeah, so SCOTUS has been doing a lot of emergency rulings. And what are they now? I think they're 19, the Justice Department is 19 for 20 or something like that in the emergency rulings. It's insane. So they'll do an emergency ruling. And in the meantime, the Trump administration more or less has been gingerly, very quietly ignoring these rulings. And because as it's getting appealed, as it's going through the appellate process, they've just been ignoring it. The one thing I saw them comply with, which I was actually kind of shocked by, was that far left judge who said that they're putting up fencing around ICE, which was to protect ICE agents, was unconstitutional and illegal. So they took down the fencing. And again, I think what they're just doing here is they're just showing to ultimately the Supreme Court, but also to the appellate courts as well, because if you can get an appellate court to overturn it, all the quicker. But they're showing the courts, we're going to respect you. But, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We all know this is insane. We all know these are left-wing activists disguised as jurists. And, this is hurting our country, and it is crossing over Article 3 into Article 2 territory. So, but I would seriously, Brian, I would not, if we were hanging out at Walton or, I'd just be, dude, just pay no attention to it. I know it's hard, but again, what ruling up to this point has stuck? I don't think one. And if it has, it's stuck procedurally and it hasn't really mattered. No ruling sticks. Don't worry about it. We're going to get rid of it. We're going to get, it's MAGA through and through. They got this. Stephen Miller's got this. What is Jesse Waters called? Like, sex magnet Stephen Miller. Every time he opens his mouth, every man in the country goes, man, I wish I could talk that way. Brian, what do you think? The Fox News cites polls showing the president underwater on kitchen table issues and the shutdown. Nobody challenges that there. I don't understand that part. Fox, they've been doing that since 2016. Fox got 2020. Fox got 2020 wrong in more ways than one. Brett Baer's decision desk called Arizona literally 5 minutes after polls closed, and it turned out to be, if not the one of the top two closest states of all 48, matched only by Georgia, came within 10,000 votes. So obviously it was irresponsible to call. I don't know if it's the influence of Rupert Murdoch, who hates Trump, or Paul Ryan, who's on the board there, but they our good friends, Rich Barris over the People's Pundit, Mark Mitchell over at Rasmussen, they complain about Fox polling all the time. They farm it out. It's cheap polling. If you want really strong, solid polling, you look at internal polling, because they spend millions of dollars on internal polling, because that's going to determine where they spend more millions of dollars and where and how best to allocate. So I don't know so these are cheap polls. I don't know how they do them, but they always defer left. Always. All you have to do is look at what's going on in Virginia and New Jersey and in the voter registration trends, and you'll see no one's buying the Democrats right now. No one. It's Republicans are crushing it. There has been a shift electorally. Again, they could both lose in Jersey and Virginia, but the very fact that Democrats have to sweat over two solid blue states, that's literally like trying to defend Louisiana and Alabama. I mean, it's just, or Idaho and Wyoming. It's crazy. They should be up by double digits, and they're not. So something's going on there. So that the polls are clearly not catching. And again, if you think it through, just logically speaking, first of all, nobody's watching CNN or MSNBC. They're the only ones who are running around and as Slopadopoulos, that the shutdown's all the Republicans' fault. In the end, who's the one holding out here? Who's the one that wants the clean CR that was voted on over and over and over again, like a dozen times prior? Who's the ones who want that? And who's the ones who want to add 1.5 trillion? And historically, ultimately, the party that is holding out for the demands gets blamed. So again, the media and the polling mafia work together to try to put pressure on the Republicans to cave. That's their job. They don't have any other. It's just, it's like when people ask, why is it that the media is not reporting? I heard this from Matt Taibbi. Why is the media not reporting on Operation Hurricane? Why aren't they reporting on that? Like it's 10 times Watergate. It makes Watergate look like a frat prank by comparison. Crossfire Hurricane. Why aren't they reporting on that? And my answer to them is because they didn't report on Watergate in order to uncover the truth for the American people. They report on Watergate in order to screw Richard Nixon. Had it been a Democrat, they would have in office, they would have covered it up. The media is not there for truth. They don't give a flip. Some may in their ranks, but overall, the power, George Stephanopoulos, who was like in charge of denigrating the women that came out accusing Bill Clinton of what he actually did to them. That guy is fair. That guy's for truth. So anyway, Fox polls are notoriously bad. I never give them the time of day. They're not worth lining your parrot's cage for. Lord Voldemort, Fox News is crap. They were putting out polling saying Republicans are being blamed for the shutdown. Yep, that's what they do. Rupert Murdoch trying to get the Republicans to cave and make Trump look bad because Murdoch hates Trump. Mr. Brian, hello, Dr. Steve. Do you see any strategy to flipping Connecticut red? We're tired of Dick Blumenthal. Oh, the great Vietnam hero? We're tired of Dick Blumenthal and Rosetta Useless. That's right. Oh, my gosh. How can we support the Connecticut GOP? Good question. I'm an old Connecticut cutter. I love Connecticut. It's my I'll probably be buried there in the end. It's my home. But I have been out of Connecticut politics for ages. Well, I mean, Rich Barris thinks if New York goes, I think he sees New York going first and then Connecticut. I'll have to look at the margins. I mean, again, if I recall, Trump came within single digits in Connecticut, 9 points or so. It's hard though. Connecticut's difficult. I think it's very similar to Delaware. It has a massive, as you know, it has a massive New York overflow, going all the way up to, I guess I would be where I grew up. It would be the outer frontier of the greater New York area. So that's New Haven, right, where Yale is and all. That's driving 90 minutes from the New York border. So and we had two people on our block where I was growing up that took the MARC train every day into Manhattan. One worked on Wall Street. And that was a 90-minute commute. So, 90 minutes of New York overflow, that's going to affect your politics. New York City overflow, that's going to affect your politics. That's a lot of Democrat votes right there. And, but the good news, again, is the working class are defecting. Latinos are defecting. Gen Z are defecting. And as long as they continue that defection, especially with the working class, both white and non-white, primarily Latino, it'll be inevitable. It'll happen inevitably, especially if Mamdani is such a disaster, which he looks like he will be, as turning New York into Caracas, basically. So that's best I know about Connecticut at this point. But I'd love to see, a lot of conservatives have come out of Connecticut. It's really, really interesting, right? Buckley was a Connecticut guy. Laura Ingraham, although Laura bothers me 50% of the time. Ann Coulter, of course, is politically promiscuous, or at least when it comes to a candidate, she's promiscuous and a little bit of a bomb thrower for me. But anyway, so a lot of us have come out of Connecticut. So Connecticut is not done yet. Bismo, good to hear from you, my friend. Mayor of Chicago wants a social media's taxed. Who Brandon Johnson wants a tax? Really? Dumb and illegal, or the next liberal vector of attack, looking fit. God bless. Oh, thanks, my friend. Thanks. Yep, lost 20 pounds. Yeah, Brian, if you're still watching, I had to go back on our PhD weight loss because I gained too much weight back, and I knocked off another 20. So it's very cool. Feel great. Thanks, Bisma. No, I think it'll get overturned for a local tax. I don't see how you can do it. Maybe you can. It might be the next liberal vector of attack. But again, it's just another reason to get out of Chicago. This is what I just don't understand about these blue states. They don't seem to learn the California lesson, the left UG lesson. The more you tax, the more you double down on idiot blue state policies, the more you drive people out of blue states. Or they go another, again, it works even at a micro level, where they go to Trump won counties in blue states. So we saw, for example, in Jersey, the counties where Trump won all gained population over the last 3 years, 4 years, whereas that voted for Trump in 2020, and the counties that voted for Biden all lost population. So we're seeing it even at the county level, the cellular level, we might say. So they're just killing themselves in the end. Robo Guy, we have too many Islamists like Mamdani trying to subvert our country. And so far, Trump and the GOP aren't doing anything about it. I'm glad for the peace stuff, but can they focus on this soon? Yeah, I'm with you. No, I think you're seeing a lot of red states stepping up to the plate on this. So this is going beyond now the deportations. That's all Trump can pretty much do, as well as tout and champion Christian values, and distinctively Christian values, which he has been doing, in fairness. Remember the first Medal of Honor that he gave out with the cross on it was given to Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica. That's the first Medal of Honor that in our nation's history that had explicit Christian iconography onto it. So this is good stuff. That's what we want. But it's going to be red state governors. They're going to have to step up, especially in Texas and Abbott there, and shut down any attempts at creating like these, Muslim-only towns and so forth. We saw what's happened to Dearborn in right outside of Detroit in Michigan. We're seeing what's happening in Minnesota with the Somali populations there, in Minneapolis. Hamtramck is another, I think, offshoot from Dearborn. They are becoming fully Islamic, and they're going to take over. They're not going to assimilate. They are going to turn whatever laws we have into Sharia. That's what Islam does. Not all cultures and faiths are the same. Multiculturalism is a lie. It does not actually happen. There is no society that you can point to where it's happened. It's going to have a law tradition rooted in a religious faith, one way or another, some way, shape, or form. The West is rooted in Christianity, particularly how Jerusalem, Athens, and Rome were all synthesized in and through the Christian faith. Whether it's from the United States and Canada, it came to us via the London synthesis. But you'll have a Paris synthesis, you have a Budapest synthesis, you have a Moscow synthesis, whatever it is. Greater Western civilization is Christian. And Islam and Islamic countries operate by a different legal tradition. And when our cities and our communities start becoming Islamic, they are going to start implementing that. This is where the milquetoast conservative, the National Review version of conservatism is being simply systems and equality before the law and constitutionality without any sense of religious backing and grounding, fell apart. So in many ways, we only have ourselves to blame. Troublemaker, do you think that Curtis Sliwa should back Cuomo to prevent Kami Dama winning in New York? I'll be honest with you. I don't think it'd make a difference. I don't think New Yorkers want to vote Cuomo. I think they're going full socialist. They're going to give it a shot. The coalition is there of the underclass, the bougie, upper class, left wing, progressives. They are going to combine like they did in Chicago to put in Brandon Johnson. They're going to combine and put in Mamdani with their 52% no matter what. And it's the working class that are going to suffer. Working class guys in Staten Island, in Queens, Bronx, they're the ones that are going to suffer. The bougie in Brooklyn and Manhattan, they're fine. And the underclass, they're going to get everything paid for. They're going to get free buses, you name it. It's so absurd. So I don't think it's going to make a difference anymore. MAGA 20 forever. How soon after Louisiana versus Clay Supreme Court decision is issued with states with race-based districts be eliminated in time for 2026 midterm? So yeah, I think so. It just depends when they announce it. So they could announce it, as I understand it, in either December or January, because they've already made the decision. That's what you could tell. That's why Ketanji Jackson, Justice Autopen was so upset, and Sotomayor were so upset. They already made the decision. They've already discussed it, and they know it's going to get overturned, probably 6-3, maybe 5-4. And so now the question really is, when do you announce it? Could be December, could be January. They could wait till June. That's a little late. The good news, as I understand it, with the redistricting efforts underway, they don't necessarily have to wait for the decision. They could start redistricting. Now, a court could get in the way and start hampering it. That's what courts seem to do at this point, activist courts. And it's always from the left. But that won't give them a lot of time if it's announced in June. For the legislation to come in, create the map, vote on it, run the candidates. That's getting a little close to the wire. You're only a few months off for a November election. So hopefully we'll hear about it by December or January. Bobby Jack, President Trump made a big deal about Obama's birth certificate back in the day. He did. Yeah, it's a lot of people have some called it a dog whistle. Others, I think he thought he found the Achilles heel of Obama, and which in many ways he did. Obama was never really trusted by about half the country, and that's why I think today he's just he's political kryptonite. I mean, the guy is just. He even looks skeletal. But no, I think in the end, I think he thought he did not like Obama, and he thought he found his Achilles heel. But yeah, and to this day, I'm still a little confused about Barry and where he's from. Kevin Fetterman should challenge Schumer for leadership. He wouldn't win. You need the progressives on your side. That's the political reality right now of the Democrat Party, unfortunately, for him. I think he needs to jump parties at this point. Marilyn Deggedy, I'm worried that AI would destroy humanity. He's already have. Marilyn, you give me that question every single week, and you got to put a question mark at the end of a question. Yes, there's hope. AI is fine. I wouldn't worry about it. Richard, what do you think about Mark Mitchell at Rasmussen Report saying polls will support the nuclear option that start dropping bills daily? I tend to trust Mark. He does black pill a little bit too much for me. I think he again, as a pollster, I think you have to corroborate your findings. You have to balance out your findings with other factors like voter registration trends. Those are huge. Seth Keshel never uses polling at all in his voting in his election analysis and projections. It's always based on voter registration and how counties and states consistently vote in relation to their, so like Dade County, for example, not Dade County, what's the, why am I forgetting? In Georgia, that's the bellwether for, or I'm sorry, in Florida County, that's going to create, Florida County bellwether, Georgia. Why am I forgetting? He would yell at me if I got it wrong. Oh, why don't you give it? Don't you know what it is? All right. Find it this way. County, Jacksonville. Duval. I don't know. Dade, Duval. I don't know. Duval County is slightly Democrat. This is a northern county, northeast county in Florida with Jacksonville. Slightly Democrat, but it always votes about 4 or 5 points to the right of its voter registration. So you look at the voter registration, and that's what we're seeing leading up to 2024. And what the voter registration was about 1 point Democrat advantage, 1 point Democrat. And so what Seth pointed out is, oh, okay. So Trump is going to win Duval by 3. And that means he'll win Georgia by 2 or 3 because Duval, for whatever reason, is a consistent bellwether where Duval goes, Georgia goes. But if I just went with the Fox News polls, Trump would be down behind Kamala by 10 in Duval County. So you got to be, polls are important. Polls are good because they can help us assess what's going on, especially from Mark, especially from Rich Barris. Atlas Intel is very good. Quantum Insights, very good. Trafalgar, very good. But there are other ways of matching. Now, how you would do that, voter registration with what Mark is trying to determine in terms of the nuclear option, getting rid of the filibuster and then just passing bills. Yeah, we'll see. And that's certainly what Republicans may start to do. But that may be what I just hope they don't fall into the trap and that the Democrats are like, yeah, good. We finally got rid of the filibuster and we forced the Republicans to do it. The one pushback against that is I don't think Democrats are coming to power anytime soon in the Senate. I mean, the best they can do is pick up 2 seats or so. In the Senate, they might be able to flip North Carolina. But other than that, I just don't see what they're going to do. And especially if Fetterman flips. I don't know what they're going to do. Or if they run a radical leftist in Fetterman's place and he just retires for health reasons, given where Pennsylvania is going, they're going to lose. So I just don't see them coming to power in the Senate anytime soon. James P., funny that a police force can't control 1 block of 135 square miles. I wouldn't admit that kind of incompetence. Yeah. Well, they don't want to, is if you're talking about Chicago and Portland, in terms of local police, they're being given orders to stand down. That's the sad part of it. William O'Toole, good AM, Dr. Turley. My concern with the cartel boats being droned is what happens if and indeed when the cartel put innocent victims on the ship. Will it turn American citizens against Trump for droning innocent people? Thank you, Will. Yeah, well, again, that would have to be, that's certainly a concern. Yeah, using human shields. And I'm wondering if they have a different protocol, if they predetermined that they're using intelligence as part of their intelligence. And if they predetermined that there were innocents on there. I think most people, though, would lay the blame on the narco terrorists for that. We do not want, we do not want these narco terrorists anywhere near our borders. We don't want their drugs anywhere near our borders. And if they're starting to use human shields, that's on them. It shows how disgusting they are. And then the Trump administration would see that as an escalation. and then they would have to retaliate in kind. Mr. Spock, when D.C. courts don't convict, can those cases be appealed up the ladder all the way to the Supreme Court? Yeah, I don't. Yeah. As I understand it, you can. I think you can appeal a. If they find it, I don't know. I'm going to take that back. I do not know the answer to that question. So if they are found not guilty, actually, I don't think you can, because you can't be tried twice for the same crime. So no, I do not. You can appeal a guilty verdict, but you cannot appeal a non-guilty verdict. You could be tried again if you were tried in criminal. Now you can be tried in civil, something like that. You can be inventive there. That's why, again, you don't want to be indicted like this, because if the state really wants to make your life hell, they can. You just look at what they did to Trump, forcing him into the courtroom every single day, spending hours upon hours in the courtroom. They can make your, paying millions upon millions of dollars in legal bills. They can make your life hell. So you don't want that. That's for sure. But no, if they're acquitted, I think that's it. William Bolton, your thoughts on why he felt entitled to allegedly keep classified info illegally? What purpose? Why is it just power? Why is it just power? Something else? Yeah, I think my running theory is twofold. So he was promised a really big, lucrative book deal, advance payment for a book, 7 figures, if I recall, a tell-all on Trump. And so he wanted to deliver on that. So it was money on the one hand, but also there's a sense of entitlement to be a part of the swamp, to be a part of the administrative state, deep state, the political elite, means being above the law. That's one of the perks you get. You get insider trading information, and you get to be above prosecution. No one would dare prosecute you, because if they did, then, you would, generally everybody's got dirt on everybody else. And he's already doing that. He's already saying, I look forward to the opportunity of exposing the corruption behind the Trump presidency. And Trump's like, yeah, good luck, bud. So the idea of, mutually assured destruction in terms of the damaged goods that everybody has on everybody else tends to give them a sense of untouchableness, that they're above the law. And I just think he felt like he was above the law. So he wanted to give his publisher the goods so as to justify the 7-figure payout for his book. And I think he felt he could do that with impunity, given his position among the political elite. Jaron, as the Democrats continue to death spiral and get more desperate, I'm afraid they'll try to start a violent insurrection. Yeah, you're not alone. There are definite concerns that, a wounded animal is, that's when they become most dangerous. And we may be seeing that with the Democrats. Again, we'll have to see. Antifa is already there to start a civil war. Antifa wants civil war. They want to destroy. That's all they want to do. They don't want to build. They just want to destroy. Just look at them. So, but now that they are legally terrorists, that's just going to justify the federal government going up the escalation ladder, and they can go far up higher escalatory limit than Antifa ever could. Joan, how do you think the cartels would be dismantled now that they're bribing people to target several levels of immigration forces by offering bounties? Would the military be used directly on them? I think so. They have been declared terrorists. That's one of the reasons why they're blowing them out of the waters. So they're calling them narco terrorists for a reason, legally, to get rid of them. And there are bribes going on. I do think they tend to make their way into the Democrat Party, to be honest. Again, I can't prove it, just a hunch. And I think, yes, in the end, the military is going to have to be used. Nikki Apollo, will Chicago be forced to redraw their map if Section 2 is overturned? Yeah, but it's a blue state, so with Democrat majorities, so it'll be redrawn in such a way that further helps Democrats. So when they're looking at redrawing districts in a way that where the Republicans pick up, they're all in red states, and they're primarily in the South. William, Dr. Turley opinion. Unfortunately, Curtis Sliwa was not able to put his points forward in the debate, and it appeared the media was for Mumdunny, who didn't hurt himself last night. Your thought? Yeah, I mean, I just saw the clips of some of the questions. I hear the moderation was horrible. Hannity was livid over it, but yeah, again, it's political theater. Well, I take that back. I mean, it does look like, from what I've seen, the Republican, was it Myers, AG in Virginia, I mean, definitely seemed to nail the final nail in Jay Jones's coffin. He did not do well. And so these debates have been favoring Republicans quite well, no question about it. But New York's a whole different animal, and I just think it's pretty clear. New York is almost 7-1, 6-1 Democrat. New York City. I mean, and they want to go AOC Bernie Sanders. They want Mamdani, and there's just nothing they can do about it, and no debate is going to do anything about it. I think Sliwa could have. This is not the 1990s anymore. This is not Giuliani's New York anymore. This is pot infested halal food New York, and unfortunately, that's what's happened to our cities under supposedly conservative leadership. Just think about it. If the Supreme Court overturns the VRA, why the F did Republican majorities, did Republican presidents in the 80s and 90s and the aughts and post 1994 Republican majorities allow that to stand? Why didn't they fight back? Why didn't red state governors fight back against it if it was so blatantly racist and discriminatory? It's because they were wimps. It's because they were absolute weenies. And they were scared of a media calling them racist. Pat Buchanan wasn't, and unfortunately, look what happened to him. Right? So it took Trump to rise up and push back against this insanity. And unfortunately, red, and I know New York's a blue state, but red state governors have allowed the left to run rampant in our nation, and they need to. And the beauty of Trump and the MAGA movement is we're saying no more. You're going to have to fight back. So unfortunately, this is going to be sort of like Escape from New York, where we're just going to have to build a big wall, it seems, around New York City, and let them enjoy their transformation into Caracas. RoboGuy, I heard rumors Staten Island may try to become part of New Jersey. Oh, if Mamdani wins. If true, we would welcome them. I'm visiting there and wouldn't mind. Yeah, no, I love Staten Island. They're great, very, very conservative, very Republican. Long Island as well. Long Island is generally Republican. So yeah, we'll have to see. That'll be very, very interesting if there's some breakaways as a result of this. Richard, would there be emails between 3 letters and news? Don't understand the question. Would there be emails between 3 letters and news? Are you talking about like CIA and FBI and news organizations? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is why every time Trump threatens a lawsuit against ABC, NBC, CBS, New York Times, CNN, they fold because they don't want discovery. They're scared to death of discovery because that's what Trump is forcing their hands on. Come on, I'm going to sue you, and now I want you to make available every single Slack message, every single. I mean, look at what we saw going on between Facebook and the FBI. I mean, they had so many ex-FBI agents, right? It's called sheep dipping. in working at Facebook, that they had their own Slack channel, that they had their own internal communication network. Why? Why would FBI agents go work for freaking Mark Zuckerberg? Right. So yes, I believe so. If that's what you're asking, that I believe so. There's going to be a lot of communication, and Operation Mockingbird was a CIA operation to control. The very means by which they controlled foreign news, they were controlling domestic news. Raven, yeah, and Congress was what I was asking. LOL. Sorry, my typing moved faster than my brain. Yeah, no, yeah, good, excellent, and thank you for the extra 5. I appreciate it, Raven. Very, very appreciate it. Baja Cat, Dr. Steve. We have illegal Islamists in Michigan and Minnesota. We get immigration fraud Omar in Congress. We had Democrat governors and mayors clearing committee insurrection. Why won't Trump's DOJ grow a pair and do so? Well, in fairness, Baja Cat, I hear you, and thank you for the super chat. I hear you, but hopefully you heard Kash earlier. He's like, look, putting a case against these guys takes time. This is not stuff that you can just snap this isn't just deportation. If we're going to convict, that's going to take time. So here we are, 10 months in, almost 10 months in. And now we're starting to see the indictments. So I'm with you. Hopefully we're going to start. Again, we'll have to see with Omar. It's a little bit ambiguous there. I'm not saying that because I don't think she belongs here. But I mean, I just have to go with the evidence. And from what I understand, the evidence is not ironclad one way or the other. But yeah, I mean, again, Michigan, Minnesota, they've both allowed this third world sort of microcosm to fester, and now it's coming home to roost. ROT, Dr. Turley, did you hear that houses in Westchester, New York are going for $750,000 above asking price? I think it's awesome. Seems like a good way to help get these rich Democrats to stop giving to the party. Also, along similar lines of wasting Democrat money, AOC's rant about Stephen Miller and Insecure Men, $20 million well spent. Did she get did she get sued? I don't know. No. I just think yes, they're putting their foot in their mouth. They're engaged in self-defeating policies in every way imaginable, and in the end, it's only Democrats that end up hurting themselves the more they're caught up in this 80-20 doom loop. Mischief Manager, I'm going to clip the show just to hear Dr. Steve say weenie. All right, here's your clip. Weenie. They're weenies. They are. Republicans are freaking, I'm talking establishment Republicans are freaking weenies. Rush Limbaugh used to complain about this all the time. They were so scared to death of Cokie Roberts and David Brinkley and Ted Koppel. And, they were so scared to death of Tom Brokaw, and they were scared to death of the legacy media. And the beauty of Trump is the media is scared of him. And that's the beauty of it. And that's the Republican Party we need. And with that, my friends, it's always so good to be with you guys on our live stream. So I'll be chatting with you as your back porch professor all throughout the week. And we get some glitches. Have you noticed that? Some glitches as I load up those videos. I have to see. We're trying to find out what's going on with that. The filming's fine on my end. I film on my phone when I'm outside, and the videos look great. Then I load them up on YouTube, and they've been glitching for some reason. So anyway, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I might try to use. I have an old phone. I might break out again and just fire it up and see if that works. But keep an eye out for some videos from your back porch professor all throughout the week as we get breaking news and analysis you're not going to hear anywhere else. Love you guys. God bless.